Hey everybody, welcome to Monday Night Live in Lexington, y'all. My name is Katherine Kaufman and I'm a psychic medium here in Lexington, Kentucky. Welcome to my every Monday night show. This is where we discuss what and who we are in this journey called life. And it's been a year. Cancer will do that to you. And so I think that I'm going to start Monday Night Lives back on. They used to be every week on Monday, but now I think because of the cancer situation, I'm going to have to do like once a month, the first Monday of every month. And I'm just going to, what I'm doing right now is I've got the scan code for coffee donations. Sorry for those of you on Instagram, you won't be able to see this. But you can, if you want to donate a coffee donation or whatever, you can go to the YouTube channel when it gets loaded up there, and you can scan the coffee cup and send a little bit if you feel so inclined to do that. The equipment for shows like this costs quite a bit, and if I can stay ahead a little bit on savings for cameras and microphones as they go out, because that does happen. Let me look here really quick. I always try to pull up my Facebook account to see the comments, because they don't always come through on the platforms, as you know. I did get a notification from Ina. Hey, good to see you again too. Thank you. And I know that it is a holiday week thingy, so there's not a lot of people that may get on. But the reason, let me just explain to you why I decided to restart Monday Night Live. Thank you, juggling community. I'm trying to make it. Thank you, Anna. The reason I decided to start Monday Night Live back, I am doing better, as you all know. Let me just do a quick cancer update. I had to stop the chemotherapy because I was having such bad side effects, and I was getting so sick that I couldn't tolerate it anymore. And as everybody knows, I was on it for almost a year. And so that was pretty good that I could tolerate it for a year. But after the year, I ended up in the hospital and blah, blah, blah. But anyway, so during the year of chemo, I started doing a lot of research to try to keep my mind busy. And I found out a lot of things that I was like, dang, I wish I could share that with you guys. I wish I could share all this information I'm learning with you guys. But I was so sick that it prevented me from doing that. But now that I'm off the chemo, I have a little bit more energy, not a whole lot. So that's why I say it's going to be the first Monday of every month, just so I don't wear myself down. But the soulless beings are one of the things that I really wanted to talk to you about, because once I studied about this and I learned about it, it really helped me understand a lot of things that are not only that are going on in the world, but it helped me understand a lot of psychopathies that people have, because, as a person who has a soul and has empathy and has humanity, when you see a lot of people doing really horrendous things or flat out lying with no compunction, in your mind, you're always wondering, how in the world can they do this? Or how can they go down that path? Or how can they do this? Or how can they, live with themselves? And it is because a lot of people, they're either born without a soul or they become soulless in their journey through life. Hey to Barbara Bacon and Melissa Bagley. Good to see you guys. And Janice. Nice to see you. I never did get my Facebook page to pull up, so I'm just going to forget that. I'm going to forget that idea. So I apologize to commenters that are entering the chat and wanting interaction or not getting it. Some of the platforms don't transfer all of the comments over to where you can see them. So there's that. Okay. So if you want to make a coffee donation, there's the coffee cup. I also wanted to take a couple of seconds to let you guys know about my book. It's on Amazon. It's Secrets of a Psychic Medium. I'm going to put the scan code up for it. While I'm putting the scan code up for it, you won't be able to hear me talk. But I'll be back in just a minute because I know that there are people that want the book, and it's just so easy to scan the code and go there and grab it. So let me hide myself real quick and put that scan code up for just like 1 minute. Okay, so if you want to grab the book, I'll try to remember to put the link in the comments or in, the description. It is so hot in here, you guys. We have been loving the weather and had the windows open, and I had the window open too late tonight, and I am about to roast back here in the studio. Whew. Hey to Yasmin. Good to hear you too. And let me do a couple of waves on here. Hey to the House of Biggs. Good to see you. Awesome. Let's get into the content, shall we? Because I had no clue that there were people that don't have souls and there are people that do have souls. And I know this is very confusing, but they really can affect you in a very negative way. And so in this show tonight, I have ways to protect yourself from the effects of coming into contact with them. Now, in order for you to have a soul, the human must have a capacity for real love, not just, okay, yes, blank words, I love you, let's get married, blah, blah, blah. But they have to have a capacity for real love. They have to have a connection to the divine. And when the person with a soul does not have a true connection with the divine, they have this need to connect, or this wanting or desire or feeling of disconnectedness from the divine that has to be filled. Person with a soul must have the ability for moral evolution, the ability to transcend the lower energies that we come across every day of greed, lust, desire, lying, those type of things. And also, a person with the soul must radiate light and essence, and that's usually from the eyes. You usually can tell from the eyes if somebody truly has a soul or not. When the eyes look dusky, blank, or are shifting, that's a pretty clear sign that that person may not have a soul. Behavior, sociopathic behaviors, psychopathic behaviors, and other disorders as well. Other psychopathies will fall into this category of the soulless. And I never really understood sociopaths and psychopaths until I started studying about people without a soul. And then everything made sense. Every thing really fell into place, the reasons why they were doing what they were doing. Hey to Lois Finley King. Good to see you. I'm having to look around my camera here, so that's what I'm doing to see the comments as they come up. The subject in question is that of loss of the soul, and I think loss of the soul is more prevalent than actually being born without a soul. So it is you're highly able to have loss of the soul while physically still alive. Now, the places that you can go and study about this further, there are a lot of writings from Edgar Cayce, and there are a lot of writings from Madame Blavatsky that you can study about this if you want to kind of delve deeper into this. The Secret Doctrine is one of these, and what it says is the soul whose body vehicle is the astral, ethereal, substantial envelope could die and the man still be living on earth. So in other words, your soul can separate and actually wither and die and the body still be functioning here on earth. I know that's hard to imagine, but I do believe that this is true for various reasons, such as here are a few of the situations that can cause it: insanity, spiritual and physical depravity, the possibility of the soul, the eternal spiritual ego, dwelling in the unseen worlds while its body goes on living on the earth is preeminently occult doctrine, especially in Chinese and Buddhist philosophy. So it's not just, Cayce and Blavatsky that have addressed this in their writings, but there are a lot of Chinese and Buddhist writings that refer to this, which I found very, very interesting. Many are the soulless men among us, and I think that they're becoming more and more in numbers even today because of the materialistic attachments that people have. And people are not taught to nurture the divine. They're only taught to achieve, overcome, and acquire. So there are many, many soulless among us, and so for those people who do have a soul, this creates a big conundrum and also a physical problem. Hey to Melissa Woosley. She wants to know what happens when the soulless die. The soulless, and that's part of this, part of becoming soulless or part of maintaining the soulless state we're mentioning in here is the fact that you reincarnate. If you have no soul, you reincarnate over and over. And if you have so many lives that are depraved and immoral and attached to the physical, and we call those the lower, denser layers. These are low, dense layers. That person stays there in that realm of density. And I've got I tried to put a couple of slides up here for you. Let me see if I can get them to come up. Let's look at this one. I can't see them right. Some people are born with a soul, but through devolution, so in your life you can either evolve or you can devolve. And most people who are, immoral or depraved or attached to physical things are in a process of devolution. And the process of devolution creates soul loss. And that can be caused from trauma, possession, occult practices, Satanism. And like I was telling you, Melissa, multiple lives of materialistic attachments. Then the energy becomes so dense, it loses all connection to the divine. So there's a very little possibility that it can connect with the divine because of the density of the soul at that point. And I hope that answers your question. Okay, let me see what my other slide says. My other slide is explanation 2. So the evolutionary path development of consciousness that either develops through materialistic sources. So if your consciousness is developing from the material or the earthbound, it ascends from earth. And if you are a soul that emanates from the divine source, it descends down to earth from the universal connection. So when the soul from earth is ascending, it only ascends in the earth plane. It doesn't go any further because it is so dense it can't connect with the divine source. But souls that emanate from the divine source emanate and descend all the way down to earth. And I'll explain to you why that happens. There are a lot of us that choose to do this. And I'll tell you why we choose to do this. Okay, let me... lost my place. It's been a while since I've had to do this. And I also wanted to show you, David fixed me the pink martini for tonight. So I have to cheers everybody who's showing up for the show tonight. Thank you for spending your holiday with me. Okay. When one falls into a love of self and a love of the world and a love of the material and all of its pleasures, losing the divine love of God and the elements of its humanity perish. So the more that you become in love with the physical and the earth and physical pleasures, and the less you have that connection with the divine. The higher principles, which constitute the essential elements of its humanity, perish. So the very things that make you human, which is that empathic ability, your humane ability, those types of things vanish. And the person only lives on the natural plane of his faculties. Physically, he exists. Spiritually, he is dead. Okay? This spiritual death results from disobedience of the laws of spiritual life because you constantly have to cultivate the connection with the divine. It is a practice that you have to do in order to connect with the spiritual plane and the divine above. Okay, so death results from the disobedience of the laws of spiritual life, which is followed by the same penalty as the disobedience of the laws of natural life. But the spiritually dead still have their delights. They still, even though they don't have a soul, they still delight in the physical. But at the end of the day, even though that they have had a good day and they've had satisfaction from the physical, there's still something missing in the heart chakra. And they can feel that. And that's why it's a problem for the soulless that they want to acquire more and more and more to fill the void that the soul loss has created inside. Hope that makes sense to you guys. Hey to Lisa Day. Good to see you. Acquisitions that will try to fill the void that is in the heart chakra. Amusements, entertainments, social life. They will become very obsessed with taste and dress, social preferment. They also can become obsessed and over-involved in the intellectual type of things, scientific distinctions, and really go further into those to try to fill the void in some way. And they're not, these people are not uh, they are highly developed intellectual people that you will meet. And many of our greatest scientists and our political leaders are really just animate corpses that are um, acquiring and doing and furthering their own gains because there is this void that the soul has left within them. Okay, I'm looking for questions. All right, then. So they have no spiritual sight because their spirits have left them. So there's a huge void that is inside of these people. So they weigh all human attainments. They investigate all forms of society. And these spiritually dead, soulless people are absolutely everywhere now because we're not teaching people how to cultivate their connection with the divine. Although things that we're doing that it's an attempt to connect to the divine, the meditation, breath work, yogic practice. There's all kinds of, spiritual things that can be done to bring the soul back if it is possible. But introspection and self evaluation are two major things that the person who lacks a soul has to have, and they have to be aware that they need to develop. And a lot of them are just not aware that their awareness is gone. This was all very interesting to me when I found out about it, but it explained a lot to me. Okay, so what we're talking about in one circumstance is not being born with a soul, and that is because of previous incarnations where the soul loss has already happened. Okay, but then if a person is born with a soul and they experience the soul loss or soul death, it's because the separation of the soul from the personality to which it has been incarnated. In such cases, the soul continues to, it kind of dwells in the unseen worlds or the higher planes. I feel like it stays there waiting, hoping the person will turn things around. Its connection is severed, but it's still there. So it's, I haven't really delved into the process of reconnecting, and that may be a very difficult thing to do. We may need to do another show on that. So this separation, which results in the spiritual and often moral death of the now unensouled personality, is the inevitable karma effect that comes to the personality if it consistently follows certain lines of thought and action, which include spiritual and physical depravity. Okay, so now I'm going to go through, how do we identify these people? What are the soulless traits that you can look for? Because these people are everywhere and even in your family. So one of the things to look for, and this was addressed in sociopathy and psychopathy, is mimicry of emotion. As they grow, they learn and watch. And remember, these people are very intelligent. They watch the family and the friends, and they watch the processes of emotion and how to show emotion, and they learn how to imitate feelings without the genuine empathy behind it. So they're extremely good at mimicking emotions, crying on cue, so that can be a really difficult one. You can catch them off guard, though, to where if they were supposed to produce an emotional response and suddenly they don't, and you may see that delayed reaction, um, unless they're really practiced at it for a very long time. So Lois wants to know, what about atheists? They don't believe in a divine source. Are they more likely to be soulless? Yes, absolutely. Hey to Brenda. Hey, Brenda. Hello. Love you. Hey to Joe Bruce. Good to see you guys today. I'm so happy that you all are here with me. Now, the second one that we're going to talk about is the one that's dangerous to us, and it is the most dangerous thing that can happen when you encounter people that are soulless, and that is they draw energy from you. So interactions with these individuals leave a person feeling depleted, drained, just completely lethargic. And it is because the person with a soul emanates that light or spiritual essence. And because the soulless don't have that, they try to connect with your light, dominating it. Once they dominate it, then that pulls the light energy away from you, and that's where your energy becomes drained. So that's where it can get very dangerous to be around these type of people too much. These type of people are utility driven or achievement driven. They thrive in systems that value function and utility over genuine depth and connection. Acquirement of things. Their drive is for that. And they will often tell you, well, you're a loser if you don't want to be at the top, if you don't want to be the boss, if you don't want to, conquer everything, then you are a loser. And they genuinely feel like that. They also, the next thing is they definitely have the inability to love or connect. So their connections are only logical or beneficial. Are you beneficial to them? Then they will connect with you. If you're not beneficial to them, they will make no attempts at connecting with you unless you serve a purpose as to drain your light essence and then leave you. They have a fundamental lack of true empathy, love, and deep emotion or spiritual connection, and often will be atheists or even satanic worshipers, or not believe in anything. Them more believe in science than anything. So those are things to look for. These are 9 signs of a person lacking a soul, and there's a couple of these that are very, very interesting. Number 1, their primary energy goes towards consumption instead of creation. In other words, they would never want to create free energy or free water for the earth. That would never come into their mind. They would be thinking of how they could structure it financially. And what their consumption is, what is the next goal, what is the next step in their process, because they still have this void that needs filled. Number 2 is lack of moral consciousness, and they're devoid of empathy. So a lot of things that you would see on TV that might make you sick, or you would say, oh my God, that's horrible, they would have no reaction to, or they would have a negative reaction to that. Let's see, number 5. This one was significant for me. They lack an internal compass and spiritual direction. So if you were to ask them, what is your spiritual direction? Where do you feel like your spirit is going, or what happens to you after you die? They have no clue, because it's not worth their thought and contemplation. They don't contemplate their own demise or their own spirituality. They don't sit and self-reflect. They don't contemplate. They're just busy and very task-oriented. These people are born without a light about them because they're tethered to the lower desires and that dense physical connection with earth and material attachments. So they don't have that light, eminence, or essence about them. Number 7 kind of goes with number 4. Number 4 was the lacks internal compassion or passion that pushes a true soul towards transcendence. 7 is an emotional flatness or limited responses. And that's that clue giveaway that, when they mimic the empathic responses, maybe they're not quick enough, or maybe they didn't figure they needed to do an empathic response then. And so the emotions will be very flat until they see that everybody else is having an emotional response, and then they'll go, oh my God, I need to cry too. So, but they also, an internal passion for transcendence or to become connected to the divine is devoid of these creatures. This one was so interesting. Number 9. They do not like to be alone. They don't like to be still. They don't like to be in quiet places because it echoes the inner void that is within them. And it reminds them that that void is there. So they will constantly be trying to fill the void with some kind of, action, reaction, thing to do, place to go, where to be. So if you can't get them to be alone and be silent, and just sit with you, that's a red flag. Number 10, draining relationships in order to draw light from the other person. This is so like the psychic vampires. So, I think psychic vampires could be in this category as well, and it's certainly worth looking at psychic vampires to see, are they psychic vampires simply because they are soulless and they have to have that energy, or they want that energy? I don't know that they have to have it, because they certainly keep incarnating without the soul. So maybe they don't have to have it, but maybe there's a want or need to fill the void that they can sense is there. Let me do some quick waves here. Thank you guys for joining over on Instagram. Number 11 is they can only appreciate things intellectually. The sacredness of life totally doesn't make any sense to them. Okay? It is obscure to them. If you were to take a newly budded flower and you're looking at the sacredness of this life that has, blossomed within your view, and you take it to them, they would not get it. They would not get the sacredness of that. It would be totally out of the realm of their understanding. They would be like, okay, there's a flower bud. Number 12, absence of remorse. And we see this in sociopaths and psychopaths. And so after I started studying this, I went back and I looked at a lot of interviews with serial killers. And there was one that really stood out to me. And also, these people, if they cry, it is a mimicry. There's no real true crying. And so I remember this guy on the interview, he was a serial killer, and the interviewer asked him, when was the last time you cried? And he said 1996 or something like that. And so that brought up, well, why did you cry in 1996? And he said, well, I was watching the movie Braveheart, and I cried because I couldn't understand why This man was so perfect, and why I'm made the way that I am, and I'm not perfect. So here we have in this sociopath or psychopath, at least he's working out what's the difference between this person on the movie and what I am. And the crying was for, I guess, his lack of a soul, really, which I found very, very interesting. And I can't remember the name of the interviewer. It's some guy, he's English. I can't remember his name. Okay, I'm just checking for questions. So, they rarely genuinely cry. If they do cry, it's mimicry. You can also, there's no light emanating from their eyes, no life essence, no true life essence, no sacredness that's coming from the eyes. You may see an energy, and that would be the energy of dominance. Okay, so you may sense the energy of dominance from the eyes. This is a big one right here, number 14. They either do not dream, or their dreams are shallow and non-prophetic. Now, a lot of us will have prophetic dreams that are trying to tell us something very spiritual that we need to do or not do in our spiritual lives. And those prophetic dreams, you never, they're like visitations from the dead. You never forget them, and they're always just kind of indelled in your mind. But these people that are soulless, their dreams are very shallow, if they dream at all. Most of the time, they will say they do not have dreams. Another thing, number 15, is that they're unable to connect with animals or nature. Because most of us, when we're communicating with animals or we are in a nature setting, the communication and the connection is really empathic. And especially with animals, it's very empathic. And so they shy away from animals and going out into nature. So going out into nature has twofold there, because it's the empathic connection they can't handle, but also the stillness and quietness. Remember, they can't handle that either. Number 16, they lack a soul purpose and are more centered on consumption and self-preservation for themselves, and their concerns do not go past themselves. So they're not interested or worried about people on the earth in general. You know, it's so sad. So how to protect yourself, because they can be quite draining and devastating to you. Grounding and prayer each morning. Grounding and prayer each morning before you hit the door. Before you come into contact with anybody, be grounded and do a prayer of protection specifically from the soulless. Set energetic boundaries around your light. You can use, you can visualize protection shields, golden bubble, the brick wall. There's all kinds of protection shields that you can use. Here's another important one. If you suspect that somebody may be soulless, please, please, please do not share any personal information with them. Don't share your dreams. Don't share your traumas. You can be kind to them, but do not be open, because they are masters at manipulation and using your personal data to come out ahead or be able to fashion things to their desires. You can carry a religious anchor, such as a relic or a cross. Now, a lot of people don't realize what I mean by relic. There are different stages of relics, and here's another show that I need to do on relics. because when David started riding a motorcycle, I gave him a relic to carry. And it could be a tiny piece of cloth from a saint that's embedded in the picture of the saint and blessed, and that would be like a third stage relic. So you can carry a relic, you can carry a cross, or any other thing that represents your spirituality of protection. And that is a religious anchor that keeps the energies from affecting you. Also, you need to keep your soul evolving to a higher dimension. This makes it difficult for the soulless to connect with your resonance. If you're vibrating here and their resonance is here, that doesn't connect. And so, in a way that can keep you protected is by continuing to evolve. Your job here on the earth is to evolve and not devolve. And so what has happened with the soulless is a process of devolution to where the soul actually splits off of the body. Also, you're going to encounter these people. There's no way around it. So once a week at least, please water and salt cleanse on a regular basis to remove any type of attachments that may adhere to you having to interact with these type of people. Edgar Casey said that you could test yourself with what he called the consciousness mirror technique. So when you encounter somebody exhibiting a lot of anger or jealousy or judgment or fear, be aware of how you're reacting to it. If it triggers negative emotions in you and you become angry or you become jealous, you could be reflecting unhealed consciousness. So immediate strong reactions are operating in the first realm, which is the material realm. So you need to recognize that, and you need to push yourself beyond that level. And you need to go into the Christ consciousness higher realm, where instead of reacting with that mirrored effect from them, you would react with the Christ consciousness of empathy, because you recognize that that soul is struggling. And so it does not affect you or trigger you in an emotional way. So your reactions are then of compassion and empathy, because the struggles are reactions from the Christ consciousness, the higher realms. Now, reincarnated souls with a higher evolutionary resonance, here's why we're here. Reincarnated souls with a higher resonance that choose to come here create an entrainment environment for those souls struggling to evolve. So what it does, it provides a higher resonance into the quantum field, and so that resonant quality can entrain to people around the person who's emanating that. So you're sort of a resonant beacon for entrainment for the soulless. And I probably need to I'm going to have to study further and see if there's a specific way that the soulless can reintegrate the soul and start to become soulful. I'm going to say soulful again. This has been a very interesting bit of information, and I had no idea that this existed until I got cancer and had plenty of time to read and study about it. And so a lot of these shows that are going to come to you are going to come to you because I'm like, I didn't know about this, and my friends need to know about it too, because it explains so much. Like, these soulless people who are so attached to the dense physical realm and physical things, um, and there's a huge population of that right now. And I think that that may figure into the epidemic of hate. Now, there's more to the epidemic of hate right now, but I think that the soulless numbers are growing, and it certainly has contributed to the epidemic of hate. So, I will let you guys know what next month's Monday Night Live will be. And, you know, when I make the post and I tell you guys, okay, this is what I'm going to do, please go ahead and email me or message me on Facebook, or you can message me on YouTube too, questions you have about that topic. Like, I wish I had thought to tell you to, message me questions about the soulless before I did the show tonight. But, a lot of things going on with me right now. So, I feel pretty good. We started doing some alternative treatments, but then my kidney lab started to elevate. So I've stopped everything right now until my next lab draw to see what is going on. I'm also still on Keytruda, and so hopefully that will keep things at bay. And I don't know. Well, I don't know how much longer I've got, and none of us do. But there's certainly things in my life that are making me pushed to try to finish a lot of stuff up. And these shows is one of those things that I want to do for you guys, to answer a lot of things that I'm finding out that I didn't know before, that I wanted to share with you guys. So happy Monday night, everybody. I love you all. Kisses from Kentucky, and I will see you on the next Monday Night Live. Bye now.